So welcome everyone. My talk is about zero budget solution engineering toolbox. We will see later what this is. First, who am I? I'm Dallos, mobile team lead at THEO, and I'm also responsible for the Flutter SDKs while still developing some software. And yeah, if you know me, then I'm always working on something in my free time. I'm always tinkering with something. So you will see some of the experiences from those things in this talk too. So the agenda for the talk is basically, yeah, what is this fancy title, Zero Budget Solution Engineering, and why we need it. Important things to consider when you start building something for a customer or for your own, and see some case studies. And I will show you some tools that you can use later. So my goal with the presentation is just show you approaches and show you tools that you can help you quickly iterate, quickly prototype things, and then you can jump on those things really fast. And it just setting the right mindset. It's not about the tool itself. It's just setting your mindset on how to get things done. And if you remember just one tool, then you know what to search for, and you can find alternatives, and it's all over the internet that you can use. So, are you ready? I will use some fancy slides, some flashy ones, because it's dark here, so maybe you fall asleep. So this will, burn a bit your eyes, and we go from there. All right. So, what is zero budget solution engineering? It's basically crafting cost-effective solutions which has high impact, and usually you have to do this nowadays for customers, because everyone has issues with costs, right? Everyone is doing cost cutting, layoffs, everything, so you have to take care of your budget basically. And it's important to leverage your creativity, resourcefulness, and try to use whatever is out there. Hopefully it's free. If not, you have to see what you can do with minimal money involved. And you have to just focus on what matters and what customers really want, what you really want to put out there. Like Misha said, just get that first working solution out and then later iterate on it. So when you start building something, then you set your initial version requirement. Basically your MVP product. You have to have one basic value that the customers will say, okay, because of that I will try your product and I will go with it. So you really have to satisfy those guys with your initial version, or you have to satisfy yourself if it's something for you, for your own needs. And then you can also get feedback immediately if people start using it. You have to identify the core features, you have to prioritize them, and then you start working on the ones which matters, and then you try to iterate as fast as possible. So when you start building something, okay, how you start, what is your goal, how to continue, do you have any limits? So in my case, when I work on something, and that can be a solution for a customer, or just tweaking something at home for myself, then I always have usually two options I take. Do I have to deliver something fast, or do I have time for experimentation, for example? And if I have to deliver something fast, then I always go with the tools that I'm comfortable with. I use every day, and I just know what to touch, and I really know every bit of those things. Or if I don't, then I know what to search for and how to solve it. And then you try to automate as fast as possible. If you have time to experiment and you see a learning opportunity, then first do your own research and make sure that you are using the right tools, and then set limits. So whenever you see like okay, I'm spending too much time to understand this tool, okay, let's go back to my known tools where I'm comfortable with. I have a plan B, a plan C. Just go with those things, and then maybe later I will experiment with this thing again. So after we have these expectations, let's see some case studies. These are real life examples, basically from tools I built or I experienced with it, and you can see the approaches that I took. And basically, you don't have to remember anything from this presentation. except maybe one small tool from each slide. I think that's something useful for you later. And I will make sure that it will burn into your retina. So you will see fancy animations thanks to Apple Keynote, because I'm using that beautiful tool now. It's the first time I'm trying, but I think it's pretty okay with the fancy animations. There will be more, just wait for it. So the first thing I want to show you is a website I built. It's called workwithvisa.com. It's a pretty old one. The only thing what it did, it aggregated jobs with Visa sponsorships. So if people needed Visa, they can come here and see, okay, who is hiring, and give them Visa. It looks pretty basic, but basically what you have to do is you have to get the data, right? You have to see, okay, how I get the jobs from where I get the jobs. You think like, okay, I will just scrape the internet. I have some sources, maybe Stack Overflow jobs, so I will just every day run something on it. So the best option is a cron job, but yeah, you don't want to run it on your home server and just keep it running. And you need something, probably something that's free and available. And then you can use, for example, GitHub Actions, which is free for open source project, but also you have 2,000 minutes if you have a private project. So for example, a cron job that runs every day twice, let's say, and then just runs for, I don't know, half a minute, you can easily fetch the whole internet with it, and then you are good, and you are still in your budget. Everything is free, and then you get your content basically. After you have your content, you're right. Yeah, let's store it somewhere because we have to render it later. We have to show it to the people. Maybe you consider, right, do I need to do some versioning? Okay, should I revert in some cases? Everything is automated, shit can happen. How can I go back? Then yeah, the ways you can store data, you just pick a random database. MongoDB is my white card now. You can pick any you wish, which are available free online. For this is the first thing came in my mind, but yeah, you can use SQL and anything you want. Or maybe a stupid idea, but yeah, why not store it in Git? You can just have a JSON file every time you fetch the jobs data, you smash it into JSON, and then when you have to render it, you can read it from a JSON and it's there. The word of the slide, GitHub Actions, to remember. I wish I could have audio to like do something, but you can imagine. That's that. So yeah, I think this is one of the really powerful tools that you can have today, and it's free, and you can experiment with it. You can have different build machines, different stuff. So I think it's a really good tool from GitHub to do your private projects with it or pet projects with it. So yeah, after you save the data, then you're like, all right, let's have some basic UI. Let's render it for the people. Okay, should it be a static website? Should it be a dynamic website? Okay, if I want SEO for it, because yeah, if people search for, I don't know, jobs with Visa, yeah, they should find it in Google, for example. And then usually you know that if the site is static, then it's more SEO friendly. So you have to be ready for that. And one of the really good tools I found, it's Gatsby. We use it also at Theo already to generate documentation, for example. And it just builds once your whole website, you publish it, and then you can forget it forever. It's there, basically. And for example, if you have your data in a database or even just a JSON format in your Git, you can just tell to Gatsby, okay, here is the data, parse it, and then render the website based on some templates, and then you are done. If you want to host it, there are also pretty good free solutions. And one of them is, for example, Netlify, and you can even set it up with GitHub Actions to just automatically deploy your website to Netlify, and then it's available. It also has a limitation, some hundreds of build minutes that you can do, but yeah, you will never use it probably if you just do even if you have to deploy your website once per day, because that's the way you choose. In this case, instead of having dynamically fetching jobs data, you just always build your website whenever there is new job. You are still okay with it. If you want to share it to people to find it, or you need analytics, let's see what free options you have there. One of them is a really good one. It's a programmatic way of sharing online. It's called AirShare. Basically, you have one single API where you say, I want to post this message on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, Twitter, whatever you want. You just check boxes, and after it's enabled, and in the API call, you can say these 5, and then it's out there. You don't have to build a client for 10 different social media applications. You just have one, and then it's out. And then it supports, I think, 30. Right now, it's limited. I think it's 30 posts per month, but yeah, so it's 1 per day. But I think it's still pretty good. So if you want to do some marketing activity and you want to put it out on social media, it's one of the really good tools. You can use others like Buffer, but there I'm not sure what's the limitation. And then for analytics, you can pick an easy one from Google, the Google Analytics. You just paste it in your website, and then you have basic analytics. Word of the slide, Gatsby. I think I really like it because it's pretty much easy. Once you have your template for your static website, you just have to fill in the data, and you can decide how you fill it in. You can fill it in from locally, from files, from JSON, from remote database, anywhere you want. And then yeah, it's pretty smooth experience. So I can really just vote for it. If you guys want to try something, just host something static. We can even go further. So what if you let people post their own job descriptions? So then we try to put something that's more dynamic into the story. Then basically we'll have a form, they fill in the data, and they press a button, and then that goes somewhere. And that somewhere, yeah, has to be a service that runs, has to handle your request. And one of the good options is after you even deploy to Netlify, the functions are available there for you. These are basically, yeah, you can run code on demand, and then you can decide, okay, do I want to post those job descriptions immediately? Do I want to save it somewhere? Do I want to save it somewhere else in a different database because maybe I want to pre-filter them first? I want to do some manual job. I want to run some different logic. You can even put it in an Airtable or Google Sheets, or just feed it back to your own website. How it gets built, it's up to you. Then what if people want to pay? They want to promote their jobs. And one of the easiest ways is using Stripe. And Stripe has a pretty powerful API called Stripe Checkout, where it's just a link where you say, go to this page, these are the prices. After the people clicked on one, they paid. It redirects you back to your website where you can say successful payment, and you are done. And you can add that moment. You could still have a webhook where you update something in your database, but in theory you are done. And then people paid, and you have the money, and they are happy, and everything is there. Guess what's the word of the slide? Voila, nice. All right, so after work with Visa, let's see another one. Maybe it's a stupid project, but it was interesting to work on it. It's Redirect to Me. It's basically a service where you can generate SSL certificates for your local host. Sometimes you need it because you have to test things on a Chromecast that only accept SSL certified domains, right? And then you can just put something on HTTP. If you have to have your own self-signed certificate, then yeah, you have to trust the whole chain and here and there and whatever. With this solution, basically what you get is you log in, magic happens in the background, and at the end you have your own subdomain, and you can link it to your localhost IP address. Basically, it can be localhost, it can be local network IP address, and then you are good to go. Basically, you get the certificates, basic sample that you can set up your server, and then anything that needs local network testing on HTTPS, it's there, and it never leaves your network. It doesn't go to a third-party service that puts SSL around it or whatever, like ngrok or the others, just on your network, basically. So yeah, for this project, basically what you need is generate SSL certificates. How do you generate certificates? There are a lot of libraries. You can run some node scripts, and then yeah, hopefully it works. But there is a really good one called ACMA, which does all the job for you. It's just a bash script. But the good thing is, you just run it, and then magic happens, and you have your certificate. But again, you have to run it somewhere, and you guessed it. It runs on GitHub Actions. And then, yeah, while the certificate is getting generated, you also need to put that DNS entry somewhere to get the domain validated. And for that one, you can use Cloudflare. It's one of my favorite providers, domain providers, and the whole system. But they support a lot of things, and they have a really nice API where you can just talk to their services and change your domain settings on the fly. And basically, the script that creates the SSL certificate talks to Cloudflare, and everything is just done in one batch, and your domain is also validated. If you have to store something, because at the end you get your certificates and you want to share with the users, then you can again store it in a database, store it somewhere as you wish. You store it in Git, which is maybe not the best idea, or in a random database, or you pick Firebase database because that's another thing that you never tried before and you want to play with it, for example. Word of the slide. Voila, nice. We should play lottery. All right. So you have your certificates generated, stored somewhere. Everyone is happy, but you don't want to give it to everyone. Basically, you don't want to share certificates online because then they could be revoked, and you want to limit to those users who really want it. So you want user management. The easiest example is that you use Firebase and they have the login component. You smash it somewhere, and it just works. You don't have to do anything. On the Firebase backend, you just say, oh, I want enable Google, Facebook, I don't know, email login, SMS login, whatever checkboxes, and you are done. From the moment your client renders the login page and it redirects people to the right moment. It's really powerful. If you have never tried it, I think you should. It's really nice. And then if you want to put some extra logic behind it, like, okay, if someone is logged in and you want to trigger an action in your database, or you want to trigger a GitHub action, for example, to start generating certificates, you can use the Firebase functions, for example, to call into that functionality. It's similar like Netlify functions, basically. It's just a code that runs, and you have a limited number of time to run it. After you have these things, you still want to have some nicer front end. You can choose anything you want. Right now I picked React because there was an example that had Firebase login integrated, so it was a quick start. But you can use anything you wish. I think it just the important stuff is that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just pick something that's already there and look around and modify it based on your needs. After you are done with it, you want to host it, you can host it again. Netlify, Firebase, even GitHub pages, whatever you wish based on the needs you have. Just be mindful of your requirements, and then you can choose something. And what I'm talking about here, it's still all free, basically. You don't have to spend any money on it. The word of the slide. All right. The last case study I want to talk about, and tools used and approaches I took, is the THEOcon application that we used all today, basically to test if the stream is working. And I think some of the guys watching it from home. It's basically a Flutter application that shows the meetup schedule. You can click on the presentations, you can get some insights, and then there is a live view where THEO Live Flutter SDK plays the videos. So here, the approach was a bit different because you had to pick something that's done hopefully within a day, because you don't want to develop an application for 2 weeks for this thing and sacrifice everything. So I wanted to have a solution. I wanted to look around, okay, can I deliver something within a day? I have, let's say, 2 nights to get things done. What's possible? And then, I think the best thing is that if you use the internet, you look around and you find some open source projects, because thanks to Flutter, for example, but same true for React and the other frameworks, the community is pretty big, so you can find open source project that you can reuse, modify, and play with it. And here, thanks God, there was an almost good conference application mock-up that I could just use and deal with it. You can find the source code, by the way, in the app itself. So if you're interested from where it comes, you can find it there. And I wanted to release it on as many platforms as possible. So usually you go with a cross-platform solution. I picked Flutter, but you could pick React, or you could pick something else you want, or even you just build a website that you make sure that it just runs on all solutions. I also made a landing page because when we share it, it would be nice where people see the Android app, iOS app, the web app. So you wanna welcome people on a simple page. That was again some of an open source project, just a quick tweak here and there, and then we put it on an S3 bucket, and you have your website. Word of the slide. Open source, yeah. All right. So, and yeah, on top of that, what you can still do, and it was manageable within this short time frame. Okay, THEOcon 5 is coming probably in October, November. Can we reuse the application? Yes, we can. You can use Firebase remote config, where you can, for example, set what is the date of the conference, and then when the user opens the app, it gets fetched, and they just see where it comes. If we change the channel ID, that can also be fetched from the remote server, so you can dynamically change it, for example. All right. What if there is a bug in the application? Because THEOcon is coming, we don't have time to fight with Apple and Google. What can we do? We can use code push. So basically what you can do with Shorebird, it's a new project made by some former Flutter engineers, that it embeds some code into your project that enables you to push code right into the downloaded application on your phone. Only Dart code, so not native, because that's not allowed by the stores. But you can fetch Dart code remotely, and next time the people open the application, that's there. So for example, I'm missing a full screen close button now. I could just push a new version, and then you don't have to go to the App Store to refetch it. You don't have to reinstall anything. I don't have to go through the whole pipeline. It's just there. So it's really powerful. I think if you also for React, probably there is a version of it or other solutions, but this is really good, honestly. If you have to do quick fixes, if you build an application into the stores, and you just realize on the last day a production issue. If it's Dart related code, it's Flutter only stuff, then you can fix it. If it requires native changes, you can't. But if it's Dart only, then you can do. Word of the slide. Code push. Yes. All right. So this is about the case studies that I prepared for you guys. And we already talked about some tools. Now I want to go into alternatives, some other tools we go through quickly. And just remember one. That's already a good help. If you next time have to develop something, you remember one, you search for alternatives, and then you can just use free solutions. So if you need tools to store data, as we discussed, you can use Firebase database, MongoDB, or other free databases available online, or just push something in a repo, like you have something in GitHub. Or you cannot use, for example, there are some key value pair storages when you use serverless solutions, for example, when you run some lambdas or functions. Sometimes those providers give you a key value pair that you can store some data and read it between serverless runs, for example. And also, if you use some low-code tools, they also sometimes support a really basic database for your tools. If you need to run a code on an action or on a request or something, then usually I think people talk about functions, which can be a Lambda function from Amazon. There I'm not 100% sure anymore what's the pricing. So maybe it's free for 1 year, but after that you have to pay. It's something I'm not sure. But for Firebase, Netlify, Cloudflare Workers, these are all the same thing. You can run them for free until a certain limit. But I think for a pet project, it serves the purpose. And then it's also interesting, it will come later, if you try some of these low-code, no-code tools, they can also run some code in certain scenarios. If you need to host something, the easiest way, just go with Netlify or Firebase hosting, or if it's really static, you can go with GitHub pages. Just Google what are the free hosting solutions, and you will be really happy with the selection, and really costs you nothing to try these things. If you want to do something with domain management, you want to handle emails, you have to do DNS related stuff. Cloudflare, you can check your own domain provider, what it provides you, what APIs are there. You can use Mailgun, for example, to send free emails. If you want to do some marketing stuff, MailerLite, for example, can send out, again, thousands of emails per month for free. You can get tracking and a lot of extra tools. And yeah, tools for dummies, basically, where you say like, I don't know code, I don't want to do code, I just want to drag and drop stuff. There are really good low-code, no-code solutions. Basically, one of them is Zapier, or if this, then that, or Pipedream. That's one of my favorite. With Pipedream, is the same as the others. You can say like, okay, if action happens on LinkedIn, for example, run this logic, or send me an email. Or if someone adds a new entry into my Excel file, I wanna send an email to myself. Or if there is a new invoice available in my emails, I wanna transfer that email into a Google Drive or whatever. You can really hook up anything you want. There are also open source solutions, so you can self-host your own Zapier, basically, like Windmill, where you just run it on your own server and everything lives on your machine, basically. And another interesting is Flutterflow, where you can build Flutter applications within a browser window, basically. You can drag and drop components, and at the end it spits out a full-fledged Flutter app that you can just release in the App Store. So if you know no coding, these are still really good opportunities. And for example, with Pipedream, you also have an option to run Node.js script or a Ruby script, for example. You can say like, okay, if email comes into my email address, or someone edited a file, you receive something, and you can parse it with a Node.js code or with a Ruby code, and you can transform the data, and then you give it to another process that will like post it on LinkedIn or whatever. Pretty nice tools. And then, yeah, my last slide for the tools is basically some AI stuff, because yeah, AI will take our job at some point. So I think we have to know what's out there. These are usually all the same, right? You have ChatGPT, Perplexity AI, Copilot, Midjourney for image generation. Yeah, sometimes we laugh on these tools, how stupid they are, but they are also useful in some cases. So for example, if you need to have a summary of a document, for example, or you could even pipe these things. So you get an email, you have a Zapier, for example, getting your email, and then you say like, okay, I want to send it to ChatGPT, and I'm expecting a summary from that email in like 10 lines, for example. You can all pipe it through, and then ChatGPT spits out you the summary. Do I need it in Dutch? I don't understand. Okay, my kids get the email in the school in Dutch. I have no idea what's there. I upload it to ChatGPT and, okay, tell me in English what's here. And then it tells me the schedule, it tells me everything, and you can even get it in the JSON format. So you can build something that, this is the template, what I'm expecting in JSON, and parse all the documents which are coming. If you need to generate images, you can do it with ChatGPT, Midjourney, or if you hate send your data to these services, you can self-host it. Ollama is a really good tool that lets you, on your own machine, host large language models, and you can achieve similar results like you would achieve with a ChatGPT or the other solutions. So you can really talk to it. It even has like an interface where like you do chat, and then it does the job. Or the other thing interesting is that it even opens up an API, REST API endpoint, so you can just send the messages what you want, and it returns back to an answer that you can already parse, and you can do things with it. And then yeah, if you search for AI for your own needs, basically you will find millions of tools, and just try them, basically. Sometimes they are really, really bad, but the good ones will surprise you, basically. Are you still with me, I hope? So let's recap. Basically, yeah, I want to just highlight the key takeaways, I think, which are important, is I think you need to know your tools. Identify which are the things that you feel comfortable with. So if you have to quickly set up a web server tomorrow that parses something, yeah, don't pick the latest fancy stuff on the market because people are a fan of it. Just pick something that you know that, okay, I can do it in 10 minutes. Or if you want to experiment, let's experiment, but always keep in your head that, okay, I still have my I don't know, Node.js knowledge that I can use in the worst case to set up a web server. Try to leverage open source. Don't reinvent the wheel. A lot of things out there, and that's the best way to save time and then quick start the project. And yeah, just walk with open eyes, look around what's there. Sometimes, yeah, we have a perception of like, oh, this is a shitty tool. Okay, who will use low code, no code, whatever stuff? But it can really quick start your workflow. Or if you need a proof of concept, maybe you just drag and drop stuff, and then it helps. And sure, maybe it's not enough, but you can still pipe it into a solution that at the end it's your own handler, is there your own solution that just, you know, kick-started by that drag and drop flow, and then at the end you can still deal with the rest. So yeah, that's all. So if you have any questions, shout now. Yes, but it's burned in, right? Yeah, so okay. All right. More questions? What was the reason to push that with the Shorebird? Can you use it to push a Bitcoin miner to THEOcon? If it runs in Dart, you can. But if it requires some underlying native thing, then not. But what you can do is you can push it in an application where it's dormant, right? You just have the code there, it does nothing. You send it to the App Store as, I don't know, some image viewer application or whatever, and then tomorrow you activate it, and then it will work. Do this, but in theory, it's possible, yes. All right, thank you guys.